Welcome to the 50th Annual Poetry Project New Year's Day Marathon Poetry Reading Performance all day. Happy New Year again! Woo! Yeah. As a surprise guest, we're going to have Chris Tyler come read a note of appreciation for Kyle from Deepali Gupta and the board. Please welcome Chris Tyler.
Good morning. Happy New Year, everybody. Did Kay print it? No, that's okay. We'll find it. It's always here in the phone somewhere. Kyle Dekuyan is an artist and a friend. His work throws us off balance, into limbo. In performance, Kyle lurches into action. He stretches the phrase and reaches out to his audience with longing or with anger. His words belong in his body. In friendship, Kyle holds you dear. He knows how to say, "That is my friend." This is the world we live in. It is beautiful, despite itself. Kyle, your work at the Poetry Project will continue without you. You will walk into the unknown like you always do. You will be stretching and reaching towards your future. I am looking forward to it. Thank you.
That was really sweet. Our first reader is Claire Chase. Claire Chase, described by the New York Times recently as, quote, the North Star of her instrument's ever-expanding universe, is a flautist, interdisciplinary artist, and educator. Please welcome Claire Chase.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here with you all. I'm going to start us off with a little music. This is a piece for solo bass flute by the Brazilian composer Felipe Lara, and it was inspired by the composer's friendship with the calligraphy artist Mendoyo, wonderful Mongolian calligraphy artist. And Felipe was really taken with his work when he met him at an artist residency. He was also really inspired by Mendoyo's creative process, which he described as meditation, 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 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. Idea, pen to paper, 20 minutes, piece. And Felipe said, if I've never written music this way, I'm going to give myself the challenge of meditating for many hours. Put on a timer for 20 minutes, and this is the piece that he wrote. It's called Meditation and Calligraphy.
gorgeous. Our next performer is Alma Birch. Alma Birch was born on the Lower East Side during a blizzard. Please welcome Alma Birch.
My cousin Ben, many things, a veteran, humble sniper. Woman, lift, voice. Truths, self-evident, all equal, creator, unalienable life, liberty, happiness, the men governed, form, destructive end, right, people, alter, abolish, and institute new foundation principles, powers, form, effect, safety, happiness, prudence, light, transcend, experience, mankind, dispose, suffer, right, abolishing forms, long, train, abuses, usurpations, pursuing the object, design, despotism, their right, their duty, throw government, provide new future, children, racket, kilter, the South, the North, talked in rights, the fix soon, here, there, carriages, ditches, everywhere, nobody over, place, look, look, plowed, planted, barns, head, woman, man, work, bear, lash, born to slavery, cried, grief, here, head, call, whispers, honey, women, rights, cup holds you full, black rights, Christ delivered Ohio, May 1851, God, a woman, strong world, upside down, alone, turn it up, asking, do it, let you, me, sojourner, lift voice, ring, ring liberty, rise skies, sound sea, song, faith, dark, full, hope, facing sun, day begun, march, victory, won, stony we trod, bitter rod, hope beat, weary feet, sighed, tears watered, blood slaughterer, gloomy white bright star, weary silent tears, light forever path, pray, hearts drunk wine, whirl, forget shadow, be and stand true, true.
Hell yeah. Our next reader is Joshua Garcia. Joshua Garcia is an Emerge Surface B Fellow, and his debut collection, Pentimento, will be released by Black Lawrence Press in March. Please welcome Joshua Garcia.
Hi. Happy New Year. Thank you for having me. Claire and Amma, powerful beginnings, so thank you. This is Pelvis with the Distance after Georgia O'Keeffe. The body and the distance are not at odds with one another. One rises in the foreground, offers itself as a window. The other offers itself as void. The hard lines call to me, a red thread runs through me like a river. I do not recognize myself in the anatomy lessons or in the men outside the piano bar. I listen for the voices and the colors and the light. They know my name. Death is present in the subject, and yet There are so many flowers whose names I cannot know without bending my back toward their faces, of inventing language for the bouquet of pain I leave behind me like breadcrumbs. Because I am leaving, I get rid of my beautiful things to lighten the load. Some ugly things, too, I should not have carried this far. Seashells and black stones, smooth in the hand, dark as ivory and bright as a heart. I reach inside myself, paint over the details. I thought the sacred was covered in a heavy cloak until time set the dogs loose on the horizon. See how the clouds calcify above their panting, their long lunges forward. I will carry this breath with me at least. Someday, it will all be so far away, I'll gleam against the blue of it. There is no epiphany in this poem, not yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Marcella Durand is a former teenage attendee of the marathon, program coordinator, newsletter editor, volunteer, and author of, most recently, To Husband Is to Tender. Marcella Durand.
Not been to all 50 years of this event, not yet. Thank you, Poetry Project. So happy this tradition is just going, this anti-tradition, untraditional tradition. Thank you for the space and the work. This poem was originally written in a notebook by hand with ink. I'm just trying to unplug. So when I read it, if you just can kind of imagine a brush with some ink moving across a page, hold that in your mind. The number of casualties is extreme, and I must save paper and ink. Feel how paucity feels when dragged across page's surface, how few grains of color there are held in medium of water. It could be drunk in lieu of available liquid. It could be a substitute it holds, a few grains of berry weed, a few berries soaked in water make this. Its scent is what is pungent. The gesture of hint, of hue, of tint, of color, slightly colored water, water with molecules of modifying tint. Scent is what is pungent. The push, struggle to push a few grains across the tooth of the page, the tooth of the grain of the page. The berry across the grain, fruit across the weight of grain of paper's grain, berry ink hangs in water. Its pungent scent, if I hold page to face, how long does that scent last across the tooth of the page? Grains settle to the end of the glass, holding the mix of natural and ink medium of emulsion. That is what it is, emulsion of hue, color, tint, water, modified element, changed. Use it now, other than to drink, surrounded by scarcity, thinking of scarcity, obtuse, accidental, thoughtless, or quite deliberate. Grain dragged across tooth of page again, fully, opaque, transparent. Apportioned, appropriated, diverted, channeled, dammed, blocked, conserved, allowed, distributed, siphoned, piped, shut off, taken, contaminated, desalinated, allocated, protected, filtered, treated, pumped, vacuumed, donated, budgeted, melted, managed, polluted, extracted, draining, rising. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcella. Ivana Baranova is a poet living in Los Angeles, creative communications coordinator at the Poetry Project, and author of Confirmation Bias and Continuum, both available from Metatron Press. Ivana Barinel.
Thank you so much. I did a funny thing where I kept the card that announced my name. So anyway, they found me. It's so good to be here. Thank you all for being here so early on New Year's Day. I'm so happy to be here with you all. Latitude dance. I get why the letters break their singular shape. All leeway, slow throw humming, frenetic brawl under sky with no delay. Here it's simple stints, a latitude dance, liberated by the child who sent me. In a way, that too is religion, your hand over each of my eyes, your hand that wraps with love across my face. Now we can do what I came here to do, an infant before the smile, the sweat on your other face. Not even time dilates mercy, not even morning wakes the day. You have to live your life the way it looks and love your representative more. The bank manager repeats our translations, la jubilación, la alegría en revés. It's real life in the world poem, shrapnel in my eye mind, acrylic, tripping on applicative dogma, taxonomy of the aggrieved. Conceit. Wilderness no longer concerns me. Mid-flight in somber rainbow, novelty circumvents its own debris. Sated I was before daylight, beaming orthostatic conceit. Alive, the vast competence of the land renders my face swollen, disbelieved. Restoration of the world, its loose ministry, the beautiful insect stuck to my cheek. Hypnotic shock for eco-miracles, all necessary concessions susceptible to faith's trapeze, pushing water out from the heart. In the neitherness, belief, night chimes violet in relief of dreams. Addendum. There is no beauty whose documentation could reify its entirety. First it's physical, then you cherish it. Belief is darker than what I can see, the day is longer than what I believe, all four corners exhumed and blooming. What the train does on the railing, a sound that follows later. Do I hear yet? Clocking rain, pan flute cross concrete, mouth under sky mostly open. A word about God I can't remember, how it's stochastic, relax. One should only believe in real danger. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Jenny Romaine. Jenny Romaine is a puppeteer and performer who is a founding member of Great Small Works and music director of Jennifer Miller, I think this says, Circus Amok.
Greetings, poets. I feel honored to be in your presence because it's an honor, and Happy New Year. And I just wanted to tell a story, which is that my dear friend Julia Eisenberg, you may know, a great singer from Charming Hostess, she once said, you know, Jenny, to truly be an adult in the cultures of Ladino-speaking Jews in North Africa and Rhodes, Greece, and Sarajevo, you have to be able to prepare eggplant at least 7 ways. And I thought, why? Why would eggplant be so important to the culture of medieval Islamic Spain? And it turns out that for centuries, people were terrified of eggplant. They thought that it made you go bonkers, that it was like akin to the eggs of demons. They despised and they loathed it. But then it happened. One of the greatest feasts that Baghdad had ever seen. It was December, actually it was January 1st, the year was 826, and the Caliph al-Ma'mun of Baghdad was marrying the daughter of his vizier. Her name was Khadija, but all her friends called her Buran. Anyway, this wedding feast was incredible, and there were thousands of pearls spread out on a mat for the guests to take for themselves, and there was a 75-pound candle made of ambergris. And the most outrageous thing, well, let me tell you about Buran. She was a nerd from a family of astrologers and scientists, and she grew up in this court in Baghdad where knowledge was like the living end. Everyone loved it. Old knowledge, new knowledge. She was a brainiac. So at her wedding feast, lavish, food incredible, she served eggplant, which was like serving poop to your guests. And the thing was that Buran had previously soaked and salted the eggplant, which removed the bitterness. And hereinafter, there was what you might call an eggplant revolution. And I'd just like to point out this book over here, the Kitab al-Tadabikh, 10th century Arabic cookbook, also printed in Hebrew at the time. It features an entire section devoted to kosher and halal eggplant recipes, and the recipes were created by the Abbasid prince Ibrahim ibn al-Mahdi and Buran Khadija herself. And then in 14th and 15th century Spain, there were poems and songs written about eggplant, like this Canticas de las Marangenas, where you can see the traditional instruments were even made of eggplant. That's poetic license right there. They really weren't, but it looks good. And this poetry, flowed from this era, and this book had 30 recipes for eggplant in it, all these ways to prepare the fruit. And finally, we have, in the 13th century in Syria, the Kitab al-Wusla ila al-Habib, the book of scents and flavors, which had 15 recipes, included pickled, stewed, with saffron, garlic, cheese dipping sauce, honeyed and sugared eggplant, and 1,000 themes. Now, the reason I mention this story is because what I think Julia was trying to tell me was that Buran had to eat a lot of shitty eggplant before she got to the good stuff. Like, she got to the tasty stuff, but before that, how much bad eggplant did she eat? So basically, Buran was playing the long game. And so I just send this story out as a gift, a spirit of hope for those of us and all of us who are playing the long game, to remember that there's a lot of shitty eggplant out there being eaten by a lot of people. But if we play the long game like Buran, we too can make the bitter better.
Thank you. Collier Shore is an artist and choreographer whose latest dance work, Ackerman Ballet, is currently showing in Photo Museum Antwerp. Collier Shore.
This poem was written last year in Marfa under the tutelage of Eileen Miles. O Art U. Gertrude Stein's body is as big as a Judd. Baseball players huddle in the dugout long after the game is over to smoke. A Richard Serra sculpture killed a man once, pinned 2 men another time. The scale of weight, how could I not measure myself and sigh? Getting exactly what you want looks like this, just like this, 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 this. Just how big is it depends how long you look. They could sell tickets. How do you solve a problem like Carl Andre? I walk around the brush on the land between Judds, and I want reparations. I want young women to set fire to brush and leave their outlines. Open up the collection to Ana Mendieta. I want vengeance. I'm not a greedy woman. I could ask for more. Collier Shore.
I too want vengeance. David Kirschenbaum is the editor and publisher of Boog City, an NYC-based small press and arts festival producer, now in its 33rd year. David Kirschenbaum.
Thanks. So some of you might know my mom passed away recently, just shy of her and my dad celebrating their 70th wedding anniversary. So I've been talking to my dad and documenting a bit of their love story. In the summer of 1952, my mom met her one great love at Coney Island. She was 17 and Dad was 22. My folks had different groups of friends, but one person they had in common was Joe Pantano. Dad and Joe were on the beach and hungry. Joe went over and asked my nearby mom if she had anything to eat, because he knew she always had something to eat with her. Sure enough, she had some salami sandwiches in her bag, so my mom gave Joe the 2 sandwiches. A little while later, my dad sent the good humor man over to my mother, instructing him to give her anything she wanted to eat. The good humor man reported back to Dad that she doesn't take gifts from strangers. So Joe brought Dad over and said, Irwin meet Estelle, Estelle meet Irwin, and that was that. My father came to my mother's tenement on the corner of Houston and Suffolk for their first date. Her mother let him in, and he went straight into the living room to join her father to say the evening's prayers. Her mother, seeing this, told her, Este hombre es para ti. This man is for you. My dad was picking up my mom to go to her high school graduation, and he gave her a box of Cracker Jack to open up. She was worried she was going to be late, so didn't want to open it. Her mother, who knew the surprise that awaited my mother, yelled at her to open it up. Inside was the engagement ring that my mother, at her job at Perlman's Jewelers, had unknowingly picked out for herself a few weeks earlier, her thinking it was a ring for her boss's young niece, and so she chose a modest one. Shortly after they became engaged, my mother brought my father to Rivington Street to see one of her older sisters, Mary, and her husband Bernie, whose given name was Selwyn, but his last name was Bernstein, hence everyone calling him Bernie. Once my father was sitting on the couch, Mary and Bernie jumped him and ripped open his shirt to see if he had a lot of hair on his chest, because my mother had always sworn she wasn't going to marry someone who had a lot of hair on their chest. Luckily, Dad was hairless. Happy New Year.
Okay, our final reader of the first hour of the 50th annual Poetry Project Marathon reading is Marcos de la Fuente. Marcos de la Fuente is a Galician, thank you, sorry, poet and performer, host of the Bowery Poetry Club, and director of the Kerouac Festival. Marcos de la Fuente.
Hi everybody, it's an honor to be here. Me that come from Galicia, growing with the stories of Allen Ginsberg and Patti Smith reading here. This is Heritage, Heartbeat, Latido, Herencia in a bilingual mood like this city. Ceniza e incertidumbre, el silencio. Camino dorado, la respiración de un mundo que se apaga en cada estallido, de una estrella que estalla en cada silencio, un latido herencia de un ser microscópico. La distancia más corta no siempre es la más rápida, casi nunca. Let's talk. I have come to take away the wet call of the morning. I have come to ante you and deliver you to the deer. I have come to give you the second page of the poem that Anne Wallman left on her desk at the KGB the other night. I have come to knock on your door because feet arrive before prayers. Hablemos. He venido a quitarte el frío húmedo de la mañana. He venido a desatarte, a entregarte a los ciervos. He venido a regalarte la segunda hoja del poema que Anne Wallman dejó olvidado en su mesa del KGB la otra noche. He venido a llamar a tu puerta porque llegan antes los pies que las plegarias. Y es que mi piel está perdiendo la batalla. Se está secando y la frontera no tardará en caer, como cayó Hölderlin, Lautréamont, Oroza. La palabra muerta en el momento exacto de convertirse en eterna. Un museo de lenguas secas como un desierto lleno de relojes. Un reloj lleno de desiertos que alguien depositó suavemente en el suelo de Metropolitan Avenue en Williamsburg. Quise llevarlo a casa para continuar la condena, pero mi sabia dijo que eso no pegaba con cordilleras. Que los icebergs son para transatlánticos y nosotros apenas hemos comenzado a levantarnos. Que las islas son gigantes tumbados y no sé qué o a quién están esperando. Quizá se olvidaron de la vida y ni Robert Herrick pudo recordársela. My skin is losing the battle, is drying up and the border will soon fall, as Hölderlin fell, Lautréamont, or Rosa. They did war at the exact moment of becoming eternal. A museum of dry language like a desert full of clocks. A clock full of deserts that someone gently deposited on a sidewalk of Metropolitan Avenue in Williamsburg. I wanted to take it home to continue the conviction, but my wise woman said this didn't dance with mountain range. Icebergs are for ocean liners, and we have only just begun to rise. Islands are giants lying down, and I don't know what or who they are waiting for. Perhaps they forgot about life, and not even Robert Herrick could remind it of it. Esta calle era antes un mar lleno de plantas, y ahora el ruido de los camiones no me deja escuchar el llanto de mi hijo. The cry of my son. Él nació en la bahía de Nueva York y lo primero que vio fue una mano de cobre sujetando una llama. Pensó que era la Hécate griega, pero un hombre de bata blanca vino a corregirlo. Un hombre sin yemas en las manos, que pronto se convirtió en un sonido olvidado. Que rasgó la piel de mi sabia dibujando la puerta de la vida, suplicando a la arena que cayese más rápido, que callase más hondo, que abriese la puerta, que estallase la vida. The joy exhausted for a miracle, eternally alive. Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
Thank you. We're going to start up again at noon. Feel free to visit the book table or the food tables. Happy New Year. See you soon.